So, let's just say that May 1st, 2011 was not only a religious, whatever, rapture comes. Let's say that God decides that, hey, he's not going to take people away. Instead, he's going to troll everybody and create a zombie apocalypse and let the strongest survive. Let's just imagine that situation. So, I was sitting at work today, and I was wondering, let's say that a zombie apocalypse actually does happen. And, I use the term zombie quite loosely. Let's just say you get to the point where you are the only man alive in the world, man or woman. I just finished watching the Vincent Price, the Last Man on the Earth, or whatever it's called, Last Man on Planet Earth, Last Man in the World, something along those lines. And it was kind of interesting. Like, it's an older movie, obviously. Vincent Price is an old actor, and it's actually the predecessor to I Am Legend and Omega. What's the name of that? Omega something. And it's actually the I Am Legend type thing, and it's more of like based on. I think it's like more of a viral outbreak as opposed to necessarily like it's not zombies per se. I mean, the people in this movie were very zombified. They acted more zombie-ish than they did in I Am Legend, which I don't know. It's more interesting to think of it as a standpoint of people just lose their conscious thought, like they become more of a zombified, using it as a word as opposed to a zombie creature. But yeah, it got me thinking. I watch all these movies and I hear all this talk about this religious end of the day. So let's say you have to bring three people along with you. Yourself and three people. And when I say people, I don't mean like specific people. I mean types of people, like like a strong guy, a weak guy, a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer, blah blah blah. Who would you take with you? You got three people. Three people. That's it. Those three people you're gonna have to get along with. You're gonna have to work together to either rebuild society, or who knows. But three people. That's all you get. And I think I have the three that I would take. And first of all, I'm going to want to point out one thing about the gameplay. This was actually a live commentary I did, and the audio was just I had a lot of spots where I just stopped and started talking about the gameplay, and I wanted to focus on the commentary. So if you're wondering, this was a live gameplay, and it's kind of a disappointment because this actually turned out to be a pretty awesome game. But that being said, let's get down to business because this is a fairly long game, but we also have a lot to talk about. And so my first person, who would I take? A doctor. A doctor would be my first person, hands down. And you're probably saying, yeah, that's not really that surprising. And you're right. Because if you're the only person in the world, you want somebody with some sort of knowledge. And when I say a doctor, I don't literally mean like a pediatrician. I mean I want somebody who has medical knowledge to the degree where they are bright enough to figure out how to make their own medicines. They're going to have a supply of unlimited potential, basically, because we could go anywhere. We could get the supplies we need. So they need to be able to diagnose people, treat wounds and whatnot, use equipment that we can find because we have access to everything. So I don't expect them to be able to do open heart surgery or anything like that. But if you get some sort of disease, they're able to diagnose it, test it to a certain degree. So you're going to need a pretty smart doctor. Now, I was thinking about that, and I was like, well, a doctor, you're going to make sure this doctor is a female. And the reason why I say make the doctor a female is, actually, you know what? I just thought of something brilliant. You don't want the doctor to be a female in this situation. I am going to contradict myself. So, I was going to say make the doctor a female, make him like a hot female, but I think I'm going to save that for my second person because I just thought of something. So you want to make sure that your doctor is a male. I mean, I guess it doesn't matter if she's female, but I was going to do it so I only had two guys and a girl, which might be kind of conflicting, but I guess in retrospect it might be a bright idea to kind of have multiple women, or in fact make everyone women in your party. That way you would have more chances if you wanted to, quote, repopulate the earth. But you need to make sure that that the doctor is not the one that is doing the quote reproducing, because you're going to need someone who is able to deliver a baby. So if you decide to the special point in your life you really like one of these guys and you really just want to have a baby with that person and start this world anew, you're going to need someone who knows how to deliver a baby, and a doctor is a perfect person for that. So definitely think the doctor would be multi-useful in that situation. The second person I would take. Now, one of the people I debated about for the second slot was a cook. But then I started thinking, 60 years down the line, if I lived to be that old, I'd be 84 at that point. Is the food really going to be good? I mean, chances are no. The food's not going to be good. The food is going to be horrible. The food is going to be spoiled, and most likely you're going to be scavenging for stuff. You're not going to be eating Twinkies from the 2010 when this is what 2050. You're not gonna be eating Twinkies from then. That's just, I mean, Twinkies last forever, but I think you'd get pretty tired of Twinkies like that pretty quickly. So a cook isn't really very realistic. Now I decided that the second person I would take with me would be an engineer. Now, this engineer would probably be someone who is multitask, perhaps maybe like a general engineer, but I think that the mechanical engineering would probably be the best bet because that's probably one of the most well-rounded engineering fields you can be in. Now, what that would present you with was somebody who is pretty good with electricity. They'll be able to negotiate their way through mechanical failures as well as electrical failures, and that'll be very important because when you're rigging your devices to work in this post-electronic world, you're going to want somebody who knows what they're doing. So I think an engineer would come in very handy in that situation. So definitely in favor of that. Now, another thing they would be able to do is work and repair on, like the generators, perhaps, if because although generators are going to be fairly easy to find since you're the only person in the world, it's still going to be an issue trying to get enough working parts for, let's say you want a cold storage thing and something goes wrong. Do you really want to pick up everything and move it to where the next cold storage is, or you want someone who can work on it? And I think an engineer would come in handy in that situation, and would be really useful. And I think if you ever had to make repairs, the engineer would be the way to go. And definitely think that is what I'd do for my second person. Now, my third person was giving me a lot of trouble. I was sitting at work messing with my bullets, thinking, because that's all I do at work is just kind of sit there and just me and my thoughts. And that tends to be a bad deal because you don't want to put me alone in a room with my thoughts because I think of some pretty stupid stuff. But third person, I was really debating. Like at first I was like, do I want to take a hot supermodel, just to have around? And I was like, no, they're going to age. You'd rather have somebody that is going to help you survive. So I definitely think if you could, is make the engineer a woman, make her your main woman, because I know there's plenty of engineers out there that are good looking. So make the woman the engineer a hot woman, and you can reproduce with him. And make sure they have a good personality, because you're going to be with these people the rest of your life, and you don't want to be stuck in a room with no one you like. So far we got the doctor, and the doctor can be any sex. Let's just make her girl. I know I said we shouldn't make her girl. Let's make her girl and make the engineer girl. So you got two girls at this point, and you're probably like, well, what should we do for our third? And I was debating between several things, like I said, the supermodel. But I think ultimately, what I decided might be the best avenue was somebody who could entertain you. And you're like, well, I don't know. But I would want somebody who I feel like I have what would you say, ability to speak with. And you're probably like, well, that's not really a person that you can hand pick. And that's true. I mean, it'd be harder to go out into a crowd and you're like, give me a doctor, and a doctor steps forward, or give me an engineer, and an engineer steps forward. But I would want somebody who is decent in the art of conversation, perhaps a author of some design, somebody who could give you stimulating conversation, because I think when you're the only people alone, it would be really tragic to not have stimulating conversation. I think you would probably want to die at one point. You would probably try to take your own life if you didn't have that. So it may be kind of a weird one. I may have picked a weird person to go in my third slot, but I think it would be important because mental stimulation is more important than you think, and I learn that every day on my job because there's not a whole lot of mental stimulation. But anyways, those are my 3 picks. Let me know what you guys would pick, and I hope you guys enjoyed this, as random as it may be. Be sure to rate. Peace.